Welcome to Inside City Hall. I'm your host, Mayor Darrell Seymore, and today on our show we have Rick Austin and Ryan Hall from the City of Show Low Public Works Department. Welcome, Rick.
Thanks, sir.
Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to have you today. How's things going in Public Works?
They're moving right along.
Moving good? Everything's
really
working
busy.
great?
Yes, sir.
Sewer's good, water's good?
And everything's perfect. All of our wells are on the ground. It's going to be a good summer.
Now we had a pretty big water leak on one of our wells. Kind of share a little bit about that. We lost quite a bit of water, but just kind of share that.
Yeah, we had in the middle of the night, we had a cap blow off of a main up on Cub Lake Road. And we lost 700,000 gallons of water within a matter of a couple hours before we could find the leak. And our crews worked, got it put back together, and we got the tanks back full in a couple days. And
that's awesome. You know, those are things that we sleep all night. We don't realize what happens. We wake up in the morning, there's still water. And appreciate your guys' crew and things going out and doing that. Ryan, it's time, you know, we live here in this forest area and we get all these pine needles, a lot of stuff in our yards, but one of the things that we appreciate with our citizens here is as they take initiative to keep their property values up, keep their yards clean, the city kind of steps in and we have our Clean Sweep project. So share with us a little bit about what 2018 Project Clean Sweep's all about.
Well, like you said, it's about the residents getting to take advantage of cleaning up their yards, get rid of bulky items, fridges, couches, pine needles, tree branches, you know, whatever collects around the yard throughout the year.
Okay. So when is our Project Clean Sweep going to happen this year?
Well, the first part of it's going to start May 14th, and it's going to run through the 19th, that Saturday, Monday through Saturday. And that's going to be for the residents. If they clean up any of the green waste, they can take it out to Dirty Deeds.
Okay.
And then again, the following week, Monday the 21st through the 26th, from 8 to 4, they'll also be able to take advantage of that, cleaning up their yard and hauling all their green waste out to Dirty Deeds.
Okay. Rick, where's Dirty Deeds located?
it's located out by Perkins Cinders off Highway 60.
Okay.
You just follow the signs back like you're going to Perkins Cinders.
So if we go past the airport a little ways there, about a half a mile,
Yes, sir.
we're going to turn back to the south.
Yes, sir.
And head up that hill a little bit, and I think the road forks, and we make hang a right and keep going back in there, right?
Correct.
Okay. And they can just take all of their green waste as far as pine needles, branches, tree stumps, everything that's at one time was green.
Correct. And he's taking lumber also, lumber
Okay.
and old pallets.
Okay.
So that's, a really good deal if you want to get rid of them there.
Some lumber there. So, and that's completely free. They just pull up there, dump it, and leave.
Correct.
Okay. There are some areas that's designated, and he kind of works up there. So just kind of, back up to the areas that it's there. The other thing, now the city's going to come along and pick up some of the trash, some of the pine needles, some of the things that maybe you don't want to take them and carry them up to Dirty Deeds. So how does that work, Ryan?
When you leave the pine needles out for us to pick up, they need to be in bags. You
Okay.
can't just rake the yard up into a pile out at the curbside. Everything needs to be bagged. But you just put it out on the curbside on your regular scheduled trash day, and we'll be there to pick it up.
Okay. Now, if I had a bunch of tree branches and everything like that I really couldn't put in bags, what do I need to do with them?
The tree branches, they just need to be in 4-foot lengths and bundled and just out on the curb. We like to keep that separate from all the other bulky item because the bulky item stuff goes to the transfer station. The green waste, we go to Dirty Deeds, so it helps us out if it's in 2 different piles.
Okay. And then the piles of debris and brush, about how heavy can they get? Can I, just keep piling up, or?
We got some pretty strong guys, but 80 pounds,
Okay.
Try to keep it under 80 pounds.
Right. Now, my wife has a hard time getting 50 pounds in luggage, so so 80 pounds isn't a lot, but it does weigh, it's the weight you can quite a bit, in things there if you stuff it. Now, also then going down to the Lone Pine Transfer Station, that you have to show proof of citizenship, either a current address, a city address, or a utility bill when you go down there.
Correct.
And what is the time frame that they can take stuff to Lone Pine for no cost?
Lone Pine is from 8 to noon,
Okay.
and then again from 12:30 to 4, because
Yeah.
they close for a half hour at lunchtime.
Okay. And what dates is that, Ryan?
That is going to be Monday, June 4th through Saturday, June 9th.
Okay, so anytime that from the 4th to the 9th, go on down to Lone Pine, and that they'll probably still weigh you, I think, because they want to know how much they're putting in there. But when you circle around, there's no cost for that, and you can take almost anything down there, right?
Right.
At that time frame.
Right. No hazardous materials or things like that. So
Okay.
you have to have a current trash bill also. It's a trash bill because that's what pays for this is through the trash.
So through your city utility bill of your sewer, water, garbage is usually associated with that.
Correct.
So if you were a resident for some reason that didn't have a garbage pickup, then you'd probably have to pay.
Correct.
Okay, on that, even though you were in the city, because that's part of it. So what else do we have going on here
Well,
associated with this? Kind of tell me a little bit about some of the problems that you've had in prior years. Let's talk about that when somebody has a refrigerator or they have something that's real heavy, or let's say they just remodeled their kitchen and they want to put all that stuff out.
Construction debris, we don't pick up construction debris. We've had people remodel their entire house and throw it out on the curb. Minor stuff, like a little bit of lumber or, maybe a sheet of drywall or something, we'll take. But if you're remodeling a house or having somebody remodel your house, don't use this for that. We've had instances where we've hauled 3 10-wheelers away from one house.
Wow.
Another thing is we've had people bring their trash cans out and just dump it at the curb. I mean, an entire trash can unbagged. We'll clean it up because we're not going to leave something like that. But it isn't. Please don't do that. It slows us down, and we just have a lot of issues with that kind of thing.
When it's a free service like this, and it doesn't cost anything, and if you were to bag that stuff up and haul it down to the dumps transfer station yourself, you're going to pay a pretty good little price for it.
Sure.
So we need to realize it's time savings for our citizens as well as cost savings. So whatever they can do to help is greatly appreciated. And
Yes.
you guys do a fantastic job. Let's say I just got rid of my old junker car and I just want to take it out there. I'm not going to get anything from the car dealership, so I'm just going to, they don't have one of those abandoned push shove. Anyway, you can get it here, give me $1,000. You guys use them for that?
No, we have S&D out just north of town. And if you give them a call and tell them your Project Clean Sweep, they'll come and pick the car up for nothing. Or you can call us and we'll have them come in and get it.
Let's say somebody just has some question. Can they just call it City Hall and get answers on Clean Sweep too?
They can call City Hall or they can call the Public Works Department at the 532-4100 number. And we'll answer the questions there also.
That's fantastic. That number is 532-4100.
Yes, sir.
And you guys are there to take care of it. Well, we really appreciate it. It's just one of the things that is great for the city. There's very few cities that offer this type of clean sweep project, and it's something that's been very successful with Sholo. When we go out and bid that, our garbage project for the next year with, currently we have waste management. We negotiate also this week of happening that they can do that. The other things that we have coming up here is once a month, I believe, you also have a week that you can put things outside, and we pick those up too. So whenever you have those extra bulky items. So there again, let's just go over the dates and wrap things up here. Again, the green waste dumping
is May 14th through the 19th from 8 to 4. And then again, Monday, May 21st through the 26th. And also on the green waste, you have to show proof of city residency there too.
Okay.
So, and then our bulky item starts Monday, June 4th, and it runs through Friday, June 8th from 8 to 4. And Lone Pine is going to be June 4th through June 9th.
All right. Let's do our part, citizens, to do what we can to keep our yards clean, also to help with the fire season that we have. It just is a little bit more fire-wise if you have a clean yard.
And if they forget to put their stuff out or miss us, just give the Public Works Department a call. We'll be happy to come back to get it. We want to keep the city clean. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, don't worry about calling us back. We don't have a problem.
Okay.
And that's another thing, Mayor, is sometimes, if it's heavy on a day like Trash Day Monday and there's just a lot of stuff, we may fall behind.
Right.
So, on Tuesday, we'll finish up Monday's route and then jump right on our
Okay.
Tuesday's route. So there's no need to call us. We'll be there to get it.
So through that week, it's
through
going
that
to
week.
happen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Rick, I appreciate you being here today and
Thank you.
all you do for the city.
Thank you
Thanks
so much.
Ryan,
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for what Public Works does. It's
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Stay tuned for the next segment of Inside City Hall, where we'll be talking about code enforcement. Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Now we have Planning and Zoning Director Justin Tergaskas and Community Development Specialist Mike Meller. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you.
Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
You know, this is code enforcement we want to talk a little bit about today. It's one of those things that whenever in a city you pass a law or an ordinance, it's how do you enforce them. And one of the hardest things is why put it on the books if it can't be enforced. It doesn't do any good. It doesn't bring any change about. And so a lot of the things that we have in the city, we try to keep control of. And so we do have a code enforcement officer. And Mike, you recently came to Sholo that position with us. Share a little bit about your background and some of your experience prior to this position.
Okay, most people might recognize me. I used to be a police officer here in Sholo, and I was a police officer for 8 years, 2004, started then and retired in 2012, at which point I went up into northern Utah, kind of played the retirement role for a few years, and then I went back to work, and I actually went back into code enforcement. So I worked code enforcement for about 4 years up there in northern Utah before coming back to here.
Okay, great. Family life, a little bit about your hobbies and interests that way.
I'm not married at this time.
Okay,
I just like to rodeo and rope and just really enjoy that, enjoy the horses and
awesome.
kind of messing around with them.
Okay, so anybody that has flies and a horse, you're going to have a little lenience to, no?
Absolutely.
On that. Only if they're complying, right?
That's
Things
correct.
That way. That's great. Justin, share with us a little bit about what planning and zoning, some of the things that challenges we have here in the community of enforcing, and kind of the role that he would be over as to whether it be signage, some of the things that he'd cover.
Certainly. With the Planning and Zoning Department, we oversee quite a few different things, including the building permit process. Anything that's being constructed, we look at, new subdivisions, businesses, that type of thing. As far as code enforcement goes, there are some unique challenges that go along with that. Every individual is different. Every piece of property is different. And when the city council passes codes and laws and things, it's a pretty broad brush that you paint with. And it really becomes incumbent upon the Planning and Zoning Department and our Community Development Specialist acting as code enforcement to then determine how does that brush apply to each piece of property. There are times when we just drive through a neighborhood and we might see a piece of property that stands out from the others. You can tell that there's a group of property owners that are taking pride in what they have. And then there's another piece of property that for whatever reason doesn't quite meet the same standard. That piece of property may attract a little bit of attention. We may make a visit there. At the same time, we also have people who call us and say, hey, I'm concerned about my neighbor, or I'm concerned about a piece of property down the street. We then would go and take a look at that piece of property as well. There are times when people will call us because they're concerned about something, but it's not necessarily a violation of city code. For example, if you have a neighbor who has a vehicle parked out in front of their house, you may be concerned that that car or that vehicle violates city code. City code says that it has to appear to run. It has to appear to be in driving condition. So if the windshield's intact, it's got all of the parts on it, the axles are attached, the hood, you can tell there's an engine in the vehicle, that meets the minimum threshold of the city code requirements. We'll have people call us and say, well, it's not registered. It doesn't matter if it's registered or not. If it appears to run, it's okay. We get people who call us concerned about fire hazards, particularly this time of year. We've got a little bit of rain today. That's a concern because people think, oh, we got rain, we're good to go, we're clear. A day from now, you won't even know that we've had rain. We work with the fire district to determine, is that property a fire hazard? The fire district actually has to make the determination that that is a fire hazard or not. So again, there's some impressions that people have that perhaps aren't entirely accurate about what the city can do and what the city can't do. And that's a constant, I don't want to say battle, that's a constant communication issue with us, saying this is what we can do and we're willing to help you. These other issues, we can't address these.
Right. Sometimes, Mike, it's just helping the neighbor explain or the citizen explain what the code is. They may not even know that they're in violation. And would that be your job to do that?
It would. And a lot of time, that's what I think a lot of the best part about being code enforcement is communicating with the citizens and informing them of different things that they can do or can't do, and to make our community more pleasant, beautiful for everybody that comes here.
Okay. And you work on both just the residents as well as commercial side of it?
That's
too.
correct. I do. I spend a lot of time driving around the community looking for different things that are violations. It doesn't have to be just a citizen that makes that complaint. If I visually see something, then I will stop and make contact with the people there and try to encourage them to clean up their yard. And then we'll just go through a step process. You know, or like I said, first time is it just a warning, hey, we need you to do this. I may go back in 2 weeks, again, another warning, you need to do something. Then there will be a final notice that is written, sent to them, and then we'll go through the steps process from there on. Right.
What is the big teeth in the law as far as, let's say, somebody just completely will not comply? We do have, they're cited, and there are actions that we take. Mm-hmm. What do you want to share with that?
Ultimately, our goal is not to punish people. Mm-hmm. Our goal is that they just follow what they need to be doing. So if there is a way that we can help them to accomplish that without having to go to court, we're all for that.
Right.
That saves everybody a lot of hassle, and quite honestly, we're just not interested in going to court unless we have to. We do have times where we have property owners that for whatever reason just aren't able to get things taken care of, and court becomes our last option. We've been very successful in getting things taken care of without going to court. I would say 90+% of all of our violations are taken care of with just an informal or formal notice. Ultimately, if we do go to court, the judge could impose fines. He could impose where the city would go in and clean up the property for you, and then your property becomes liened with whatever the cost was, and if that property ever sells, we then recapture the cost that we had. We've had to do that. I've been here 19 years. I think we've had to do that twice.
Twice, yeah.
So again, very rare that we've had to do that.
I work with it. The other thing on the commercial side, just an example, a lot of people put out different banners or different flyers or different signage, and part of that may be compliant when it first goes up, but if they keep it over a certain time, it becomes non-compliant. Now you're gaining whether it be an economic advantage or an advertising advantage over your competition if you don't come along and help them enforce the code.
Well, and that's one of the problems. I think a lot of times when we sit down and look at our code, our signage code, it's an education thing, because you'll go to a business and say, you can't have this kind of signage, or you can have this kind of signage for so many days. They take it down, then they change a manager. What's the first thing the manager does? Put the sign back up. So, it just becomes an education thing. It's not really about trying to cite people or cite businesses or penalize businesses. It's just education and on what they can do on their signage.
And I look forward to, as a council, as you are involved here, if there are certain things that you find that aren't really working or some things that can be changed, that doesn't mean that we are not open to the idea of maybe tweaking an ordinance or something that we have to in the city to be more user-friendly or more easier friendly. I think recently we just changed the code on our separate structures or storage units because, kind of share what we did there.
Right, so previously our city code allowed you to have an accessory structure, a shed, up to 144 square feet. Once you hit 144 square feet, you'd have to come in and apply for a building permit with all of the things that go along with that. You know, you needed to show that you had proper footings, that you were built to the building code, all those things. We received a request from a local vendor of some of these sheds, you know, indicating that that perhaps might be a little bit too onerous on them and onerous on the property owners. And as a result, staff did a survey of the local jurisdictions, and we found that in some cases we were maybe a little bit more restrictive than what some of the other area jurisdictions were, and in some cases we were maybe a little less restrictive. But we took that to the council, and the council decided, you know what, let's bump that up. Let's go to 200 square feet. So now if you have a shed or an accessory structure that you'd like to place there at your home, you're still required to meet setbacks and things like that. But as far as building code requirements go, those don't kick in until you hit 200 square feet instead of the previous 144.
Right. So that's great. You know, so we did listen, we did make some changes, and those things, you know, going forward with that. Share with us some of your biggest challenges you've had. You've only been, you know, doing this for about 6 weeks, but what have you seen as the repetitiveness or probably the biggest repeat offender? Not an individual, but of the item.
I think the biggest item probably for the city of Show Low is right now is non-functioning vehicles.
Okay.
And it's really interesting to me is because when you talk to a property owner or owner of the vehicle, they'll say, I'm going to fix that up someday. You know what's crazy is I can remember these vehicles when I was working as a police officer. And so I don't know when that someday is going to come, but it hasn't come yet. So it's really kind of on those kind of interesting issues is that you have to encourage people. I know you talked about in the program prior to this one about contacting S&D, and that's one of the things that I did just the other day. As a matter of fact, there was a piece of property out on Clark Road that there used to be an old green Bronco. And I can remember that Bronco sitting there when I was a patrol officer, and like I said, that was 6 years ago. And it was still there, and it was in pieces. There was no doors, no hood. I contacted the property owner and the management company that was taking care of the property, told them we needed to get rid of the vehicle. He contacted S&D, and S&D come out and picked it up and towed it off. Just as simple as that. But it is a simple process as far as getting rid of some of these non-functioning vehicles, and people need to really realize, go out there, take a look at it. Are you going to fix it up? Or is it just going to become a yard ornament?
Right.
When it's a yard ornament, it's time to get rid of it.
That's great. You know, those are things, like we said, our Project Clean Sweep can help with debris, cleaning up the yard so that you're not unsightly with your neighbors. It can help with just some of the bulky items that are laying around that also detract. And, you know, it's not an easy job you have, Mike, but it's one of the things that we appreciate as council, we appreciate as other citizens in the community, because if we don't enforce those things a little bit, they're going to get out of hand quite quickly. We've seen it from A to Z.
Absolutely.
You know, we have yard sales coming up, and so we have ordinances for things like that. And really, if the people will just, you know, if there's a question at all, I'm sure they can call down to your office and find out, you know, what is the code, what do I need to do, am I in violation if I do this or not, and you know, we have the answers pretty readily.
Yeah, we certainly encourage anytime somebody has a question, especially if it's going to involve money, call us first. We hate to see somebody go out and do something that they think is okay, perhaps even spend money to do it, and then find out that it's a little bit of an issue and needs to be taken care of.
Right.
We would certainly, from our end, from the property owner's end, we would certainly encourage that you just make that phone call. It could save you as a property owner a lot of heartache and perhaps even a little bit of money to just make that quick phone call.
That's great. You know, with your background of going around and being able to know the city and know the ins and outs in every street and every road, I think that's real helpful. And, you know, you've had those eyes on it before, and so being able to do that is fantastic. Anything else you guys want to share about code enforcement or anything else that we have coming up?
Just would encourage people. I know we've got Project Clean Sweep coming up. That's a great project. It's a great effort that takes place. But also to remind people that you don't have to wait for Project Clean Sweep. We do, through Waste Management, a free bulky item pickup on the first full week of every odd numbered month. So if you have pine needles and you don't want to wait until Project Clean Sweep, not a problem. If you clean out the garage and you got things you want to get rid of, not a problem. You don't need to wait until that Project Clean Sweep to get it taken care of.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Mike. Anything, final comments or anything?
I'll just kind of reiterate what Justin just said right there. You know, I worked for cities up in northern Utah, and they didn't have bulky pickups like Sholo does, and so it's really important. Take advantage of these opportunities to get rid of some of this stuff. It makes it a lot easier, even though the transfer station is not that far away, and it's so easy to go down there and take care of it. But yeah, I just encourage the citizens, like it says, and please, if you see something in your neighborhood, don't be afraid to call. Right. It's not that I'm going to give up your name or anything like that. It just points me in a direction that I need to go to see something. There was one the other day, a woman called and about some trash that was blowing out of some dumpsters. You know, it's an easy fix, but we need to let people be aware that this is what's going on when they fill their dumpsters up so high and the wind's blowing and it blows trash all over the neighborhood. So again, don't be afraid to call me up. I love your phone calls.
All right. Appreciate it. And you want to just tell people, don't be late at the barrier and catch on the
don't
first
be late
row.
at the barrier.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Justin, thank you. Appreciate what you guys do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Inside City Hall today, and have a great day.